It began with silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that lingers, thick, weighty, charged, the kind of silence that wraps itself around your chest and makes you question if you're still breathing. That silence lived in our house the day my husband invited his father to move in with us. He said it was temporary just until he adjusts to the city, but some things are never temporary. Mr. Hale was a quiet man, stoic, elegant in the way an old book is, worn but captivating. His eyes carried the shadows of years, and something else I couldn't name at first. I saw it when he looked at me, not with desire, no, with hunger, the kind you hide for so long that it starts to look like loneliness. At night, I could feel his presence even through the walls. He walked softly, but the floor knew his footsteps. He never said a word, but the air shifted when he passed my door. And sometimes, I didn't close it all the way. I told myself it was forgetfulness. But the truth part of me wanted to be seen. In the kitchen, our dance was always innocent. Coffee, eggs, a smile. But our hands reached for the same drawer a few too many times, and sometimes I held on a second too long. He never pulled away. One morning, I saw him in a way no daughter-in-law should. He hadn't locked the door. The steam from his shower drifted like a curtain, half open, through the mist. I saw the sculpture of a man who'd buried his desire for too long. I should have turned away, but I watched, not because I wanted to, because I couldn't not. The guilt came like a storm, fast, loud, crashing. And yet, when he caught my gaze that night across the dinner table, there was understanding, like we were two prisoners sharing the same sentence. The temptation didn't come as a kiss. It came as a whisper, a brush of fingers when handing me a plate, a pause on the stairs, where neither of us moved, a quiet inhale when I passed by in the hallway. We never touched, not really, but the house felt it, the walls. They watched. The day David left for a week-long trip, the silence returned, but this time it pulsed, it called. He stood in my doorway just past dawn. I pretended to sleep, but I heard him, his breath, his steps, his guilt. He left without a word, and yet everything had been said. Later, I stood in front of the mirror, tracing the outline of my own shame, not for what happened, but for what didn't, for what I'd let simmer, for the secret dance we both agreed to without ever speaking. When David returned, he kissed me. He didn't notice the change. He never noticed much, and as I smiled at him, I wondered, can love survive untouched sins? Can a marriage stay pure when the walls have already swallowed the truth? It was past midnight. The world outside had gone still, the kind of stillness that makes even the air feel like it's holding its breath. And then I heard the door, soft, careful, but not unsure. He stood there, at the edge of the room, drenched in darkness and quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't ask for permission. It claims you, with a look. I didn't ask why he came, because I already knew. Some storms don't need thunder to be dangerous, just a single spark. I rose from the chair without a word. My robe clung to my skin thin silk, damp with humidity and anticipation. Each step toward him was a choice, a betrayal, a surrender, a truth I could no longer bury. When our eyes met, the world vanished. There was no guilt, no titles, no husband, just two souls fractured, starved, and too tired to pretend. He raised his hand, not to grab, but to worship. His fingers hovered just above my lips, then trailed down the line of my jaw, my neck, my chest, like a blind man memorizing a shape he'd only imagined in dreams. I let the robe slip, not thrown, not torn, but peeled away slowly, like dusk dissolving into night, the way he looked at me, not like a woman he wanted, but like a miracle he was afraid would disappear if he blinked. When his lips finally touched mine, they didn't claim, they pleaded. Every kiss was an apology he couldn't say out loud. My body didn't resist. It answered arch for arch, breath for breath. We sank into the couch, not in haste, but like silk sinking into water, natural, weightless, inevitable. There were no words, only sound, the rustle of skin against cotton, the crackle of breath, the low hum of restraint breaking apart. He held me like someone holding a confession. I clung to him like a drowning woman clings to a secret. There was no rush, only rhythm, only reverence. The storm inside us didn't explode. It unraveled, slow, precise, beautifully cruel. When it was over, we didn't speak, not because we were ashamed, but because we knew no sentence could survive that kind of truth. He rested his forehead against mine. Our heartbeats slowly returned to silence, but nothing would ever be the same. He dressed without looking at me, picked up his jacket, opened the door, and then he stopped. "Will you be okay?" he asked. I wanted to lie, but I said the truth, I don't know yet. The door closed behind him, and with it the version of myself that used to believe in clean lines and quiet hearts. Now, when David touches me, I shiver, not because of him, but because someone else already lit a fire inside me, and it's still burning beneath my skin. The walls watched everything, but they stayed silent, because some sins don't scream. They whisper, soft, forever. David had returned. His presence filled the house like a familiar scent, comforting, predictable. But this time, I couldn't breathe it in. Something in me had shifted, and something in him was watching. That first night, he didn't say much. He kissed my cheek, held me a little longer, told me I looked tired. I nodded, smiled, lied. He didn't ask about his father, didn't ask about my eyes, how they'd grown darker, didn't ask why the bed sheets no longer smelled like just us. I thought I was safe. I thought the fire had passed, but I forgot ashes still burn. 3 days passed, each more unbearable than the last. I couldn't sleep, not because of guilt, but because of the silence. David was quiet, too quiet. He watched me like someone watching the ocean before a storm, calm, but calculating. Then came the 5th night. He cooked dinner, lit candles, played our wedding song, poured wine into the same glasses we used on our anniversary. I should have known. I should have run. But I sat down, pretending everything was normal, wearing a dress I hadn't touched in months. The one he said made me look dangerous. Maybe I wanted to look dangerous. We barely spoke during the meal, just small bites, fake smiles, and the long, heavy pauses between his questions. Did you miss me? Yes. Was it quiet here? Yes. Did anything happen? A beat? No. He leaned back in his chair. His eyes held mine like a noose. "You're a terrible liar," he said softly. The room fell cold. I felt the air thicken like the moment before glass shatters. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice already breaking. He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out his phone, tossed it onto the table. The screen was still lit, and there I was in the kitchen, wiping the floor. Bent forward in that robe, smiling, the video ended. I froze. My blood turned to ice. "You think I don't know what's going on in my own house," he said. I stood up, the chair scraping violently behind me. "Where did you get that?" He laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. I synced Dad's tablet to my cloud drive before he moved in. Call it instinct. Or maybe I just knew. You'd give him a reason. I couldn't speak. I wanted to cry, to scream, to vanish. But I stood still, like prey, waiting. "Tell me, Sophie," he said. "Did you enjoy it? No, don't lie." His voice cracked like thunder. I flinched. He stood up, walking around the table slowly, like a predator circling the kill. I watched every moment, every glance, every fucking silence between you two. He was behind me now, breathing, burning. I wanted to believe it was just loneliness, that you missed me, that he missed her, that it was innocent. But it wasn't. I turned to face him, tears in my eyes, fire in my throat. "Then why didn't you stop it?" He stared at me, and what he said next shattered everything, because I wanted to see how far you'd go, because I wanted to see how far you'd go. His words hit me harder than a slap. I staggered back. "You watched me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He didn't blink, didn't flinch. I watched everything. The way you moved when he entered the room, how you dressed, how your laugh changed when he was near. "I didn't plan this," I whispered, my throat tight. "Didn't you?" he said, "because it looked like choreography." He leaned closer, his breath warm, sharp, heavy, with something bitter. Betrayal? Disgust? Maybe desire. You were playing with him, Sophie, and with me, and with yourself. He stepped back. "I thought I married a woman who knew who she was. Turns out, I married a mirror." I gasped. The insult stung not because it was cruel, but because it was true. For weeks, I had become a reflection of desire, bending myself to attention, becoming whatever I needed to be to feel seen. I didn't mean to fall into this. I said, he was lonely. I was lost." David snorted. "No, he was temptation. And you were willing. I wanted to run. But the worst part was, I wasn't sorry. Not fully." He walked to the window. "Do you know why I didn't stop it?" he asked again. "I thought I did." I replied. He shook his head. "No, not because I wanted to catch you. Not because I'm cruel." He turned back to me, eyes dark as wet earth. "But because I understand." "What do you mean?" I asked. He took a deep breath, and then he said something that undid everything I thought I knew. "Before you, there was someone else." The air collapsed. My knees nearly gave out. "You cheated on me?" I asked. He nodded slowly. "Before we were married, it ended, but it haunted me. I never told you, because I thought I could bury it under love." I couldn't breathe. The betrayal. It was mutual, like two blades pressed against each other, waiting to draw blood. "She was older," he continued, "married, like us now." He smiled bitterly. "I thought I could control it. but you never forget your first sin. I sat down. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. He joined me on the floor, no longer angry, just tired. We're not innocent, he said. Either of us. I never wanted to hurt you. I whispered. I know, but we did. To each other, just in different ways. Silence returned. Not the heavy kind, not the stalking kind, but the kind that follows confessions, the kind that waits. He looked at me again, and this time I saw it, the boy I once fell in love with, tired, fractured, but still holding out his hand. I don't want to end this, Sophie. My eyes widened. I want to fix it. I blinked. You still want me. After everything, he nodded. I still love you, but I won't lie anymore, and neither will you. We sat in that candle-lit room surrounded by truth, ashes, and the faint smell of something once burned. And I realized something I hadn't dared admit. Desire doesn't always ruin you. Sometimes it reveals what was already broken. I wanted to speak, but words felt clumsy, too small for the weight of what we just laid bare. So we sat, two strangers in familiar skin. Outside, the wind whispered against the windows. Inside, the candles flickered, their flames trembling as if they, too, sensed the decision hovering between us. I don't know how to come back from this, I finally said. David didn't answer right away. He stood, walked to the fireplace, placed another log into the dying embers. The flames caught, slowly, reluctantly, just like us. I'm not asking you to come back, he said quietly. Then what are you asking? He turned, to stop pretending we ever left. I blinked. The sentence wasn't an answer. It was a question in disguise, one I didn't know how to answer. He moved toward me, kneeled down, took my hands, his touch still familiar, but no longer simple. Nothing between us was. I still want to fight for this, he whispered, but not if it's just habit. My heart ached, because I wanted the same, but something inside me had cracked, and once you've looked at someone else with that kind of hunger, you can never unsee it. I kissed him, not passionately, not to ignite anything, just to feel what was left. His lips were warm, but something was gone, maybe in him, maybe in me. We spent that night in the same bed, but not like lovers, like two people holding on to memory. He touched my arm gently before sleep. I still believe in us, he said. I'm not sure I do, I replied, and he didn't argue. The next morning, I packed a small bag, not because I was leaving forever, but because I needed to remember who I was without the weight of shared history pressing down on me. David stood at the door, silent. He didn't try to stop me, but his eyes, they begged for something neither of us could name. I looked around once more, the hallway, the staircase, the wall that had once watched too much. Then I whispered, "Don't wait for me, but don't forget me either." And I left. Now, as the train hums beneath me and the city unfolds in reverse, I wonder, is love supposed to survive everything, or does it sometimes ask to be let go? I don't know if I'll go back. I don't know if he'll still be waiting, but I do know this. Some things are broken quietly. Some stories don't end. They just echo, like footsteps in a house that remembers. Every sin, every silence, every surrender. And those walls, they're still watching.